To people who embrace using their spiritual gift, specifically females, most of the time, when you see it, it's exactly what it is. Some of the times, when you see it, it's the energy of the it that you think that it is. Rewind what I just said so you can hear it again. I keep seeing this diaphragm in my head, so I'm going to have to talk about this again and just draw the picture that I keep seeing. In other words, there are a lot of relationship dynamics where a female will be very intuitive and pick up on things with her body. And instead of hesitating and brushing it off, she'll trust her intuition and go ask her partner a question. And they'll deny it. And in their mind, they're saying, she's supposed to be able to tell if I'm lying. Well, if she can see that this happened, then she should be able to see that I'm lying. And we did. When we confront the thing in question, that's your opportunity to be honest. But instead you choose trickery. When you know that they are lying and choosing trickery, you, as the person who believes in your intuition, have the option to move away from the situation, because by somebody lying to you, lying is a decision. I'm going to say that again. It's not a mistake. It's a motherfucking decision. So if somebody lies to you and they decided that, then you got a decision to make also. Now, you can decide they're scared. Most people lie when they're scared. Also, most people lie because they're good at it. You could say, oh, well, they just were trying to protect me. The truth protects you, not lies. Careful not to gaslight yourself. You could say, well, they were trying to spare my feelings and just say something to, they didn't want to give it to me all at one time. Now I'm speaking as a female for the females on the female behalf. I know that there are men who embrace being intuitive and go through the same things. Maybe more men should become more vocal about things like this, because there are women who manipulate the exact same way. We're not leaving that out of this conversation, but I'm speaking from a female perspective because I'm a female. In other words, if you let it go or let it ride, what it says to the person that's playing a manipulative game is that, oh man, that intuition stuff ain't real. See, I just lied to her and she ain't even pick up on it. Most of the time, women who give grace to people who lie may understand the fear, but then start to look for the pattern. If your pattern is fear, you can never lead a woman. How do you want somebody to submit to you when your groundwork functions out of a place of fear, lies, and deception? When fear, lies, and deception pile up, it causes way more conflict later. These things could be avoided early. If you let clarity pile up, none of your situations will U-turn into confusion. Why this is difficult for people to understand, I don't even know. But at this rate, we get clarity so much on a regular basis. What we want to believe overshadows what really is fucking happening. By the time you give into the frustration of knowing you've been lied to over and over again, and maybe not directly lied to, but just maybe not told every single thing, you explode because the circumstance meets all 29 of the questions you had leading up to your explosion. And then you become angry at yourself. It disrupts your trust towards yourself because you decided to show grace to a person who decided to show you deception. I don't know what's worse, omissions or lies. Because omissions are super intentional. They're crafted. It's like lies by design. Omission is like lies by damn design. The third part to this is, with the grace being given, there's like a portion of forgiveness in that. But there's this spiritual arrogance, and I called it spiritual arrogance before because I couldn't find a word to fit in there, and maybe one will come to me soon, of feeling like because you are a person that honors and gives the truth, that anybody coming towards you will be doing the same thing. So it's kind of like part of you is on autopilot to believe what people say, even if they're a liar. Because you believe that even if they lied, that your ability to not want to lie is somehow supposed to leak over to them like fairy dust. Meanwhile, their lies of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze is creating such a stench and a mustiness on y'all's situation of being able to confront, being able to talk about things, being able to communicate clearly, answering all 10 questions and not 9, because the 10th one you left out on purpose. Going past the point of just acknowledging that there's an issue, but showing willingness to try to attack whatever it is. Sometimes you'll say to yourself, my faith is great enough for both of us. And it just might be. But the thing that may turn that on is in that person is their own willingness to comply with that. It's nothing to do with the amount of juice or juju you got in your jar. It has to do with with the fact that if you're with somebody who enjoys being a full cup, pouring into another full cup that can pour into their full cup. And even if your cups aren't full, are you willing to take the things out of the cup that don't need to be there so y'all can make room to then fill each other? Because that's what partnership is. Y'all gonna keep talking about this one-sided part of relationships like, you gotta be whole. I'm gonna say this because I've been talking about this for about 3 weeks straight. A lot of people are professionally single because of people who lie and because of the Decepticons. And there are things that you can be healed from. As an individual, you've forgiven yourself for making certain decisions. You've forgiven yourself for being in circumstances that you know you didn't belong in. You've forgiven yourself for wanting to do harmful things because people have hurt you. Once you realize the things that you've allowed, this is what helps you reach the point of forgiveness, because maybe sometimes you don't even understand why you let certain people in, and it could be a traumatic reason why, and you've discovered that. So you know what's going to happen next. If you're still a person that desires to be in a relationship, or most of the time, even if you don't, once you heal from those things, those aspects, and anything else that came along with it, a new person will come along. And that relationship with that person is going to prove if your growth was really growth or not, or if you're going to recognize the signs, say what needs to be said in a moment, and leave when you need to get the fuck out of Dodge. Because if you allow yourself to stay, that's also a form of language. The biggest part of what it's saying is, did you really heal? Because you're being tolerant of things that you said you recovered from. So if you recovered from it, why are you dealing the fuck with it again? If you can marginalize a line with one thing outside of you, why can't you do the same thing when other people's actions outside of you are affecting you inside? You don't think that there's a major decision that needs to be made on your behalf if you're being clear and they're being confusing? The other thing is, you could also be the person who's now, you said that you're healed from, hold on, from lying and being deceptive, right? And then you get in a situation with a person and the honeymoon stage is there. And then you get to a point where y'all have an indifference. And at that moment, you feel all of your fears come up. You're flustered with the same emotions that made you lie before. In this moment is where you get the opportunity to now be the truth sayer. You now get to prove if you actually healed from being a liar, a Decepticon, an omitter, whatever falls in that group of cousins that's just fucking lying. Okay, you get the opportunity to tell the truth. You get the opportunity to explain what happened. And explanations is not to make you feel tight or withdrawn. Explanations do two things. They help you understand that you can be expressing your point or your view or what happened to your partner, and it also reaffirms the security of the relationship. So you now get the opportunity to be the truth teller the moment you lie and do the familiar thing that you said you came out of the woods for. The main thing that you have been in isolation about and reading books about why you need to be honest and how it actually helps you more than the other person. The same way that if you lie, it hurts you more than the other person because you have to wear that and you have to sleep with all of that shit at night. So if you now have the opportunity to be the honest person, why are you still lying? So, like I said, healing is for both people. It's not for the person that thinks everything is right on their end. It's not for the person that just feels like everything always goes wrong on their end. A circumstance comes up to meet both of y'all to ask and to show. Here's an opportunity for y'all to practice what y'all been preaching solo. What are you going to grab? What are you going to take? What are you going to do? Who are you going to be in the moment? Are you going to be the person that shuts down? Are you going to be the person that gives half the truth? Are you going to be the person that responds to what you think is the most important thing instead of hearing a whole person out? Are you going to be understanding and patient, giving a person that's trying to get over being the liar space to practice talking so they actually know how to have the conversation of honesty, because that's not a familiar conversation. Lies was the familiar conversation. Or are you going to belittle and cause them to go back into a hole again? Now, this is another confusing layer of what happens. When the other person knows that they're lying or they know that they're being backed into a corner, the only familiar thing that they do is continue the lie, right? Within them telling a lie, they go through feeling so much shame that they have to figure out how they're going to cover up the next story that covered the lie that they didn't need to tell the first time the other person brought them the issue. So then it becomes the shame of repeating what you did before, saying that you weren't going to do it again. You dishonored yourself and your isolation period. So then you feel like you wasted time. If I was just going to go ahead and lie again, I might as well not have just took all that time out being by myself. You go through all of that stuff in your head. Oh my. And so now you haven't taken advantage of your opportunity also to heal. I'm talking to the liars right now. I'm talking to the people who tell you half the truth because it makes you feel good or it shuts you up from arguing, but then they still are in that Decepticon stage because they don't really go into the deep end of why, or they don't go into the deep end of the effects of what their omission or what their lie did. They're not concerned about how you feel and how it pulled the trigger in you. They're more concerned about the trauma that they're feeling, not even paying attention to the fact that they may have been the very cause of it, but they're just paying attention to the checking your temperature. That's the easiest way to put it. Or did you cool off yet? Do you still feel mad? Oh, well, if they still feel mad, I don't know if I can approach them. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Of course you don't know what to do. You're not used to telling the truth. You're just used to fucking lying. So when you're used to lying and you want to tell the truth but don't know how to tell the truth, you do nothing. And stagnancy will kill more on a boring day than the truth will on a busy one. I'm gonna put that shit on a t-shirt.